Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be taking a look at something a little bit different from my usual wheelhouse of tools, fire, natural crafts and so on. And we'll take a look at navigation. Navigation is a bit of a bushcraft skill as well, or it's at least something that is valuable to talk about and learn as a really nice activity to get children out and exploring. So we're going to take a look at some basic compass skills to get you up to speed with what you need to know to use a compass, and then talk about how you can use that to create a compass treasure hunt for the children in your sessions. So if that sounds interesting to you, then keep watching. I'll see you in a mo. So you can do these kinds of activities with just about any compass you have. But to be really accurate and useful and to make things easier, getting one of these compasses that has a base plate, so this plastic bit here, and also has a turnable bezel there, as well as a direction of travel arrow. It's really useful to have. You can pick these up in most outdoor shops for quite cheap, and don't forget to use any outdoor discounts you have. They usually run a discount for members of like FSA, Cycling UK, IOL, whatever. Just ask and they'll usually work something out. You can also occasionally find them in places like Aldi and Asda and some of the regular supermarkets during the summer. As I said, what you're looking for is one with a base plate, direction of travel, and a movable bezel. This will make a lot more sense as we get into it. So to use the compass, you're essentially going to be performing 3 different actions. And the order of those actions depends on whether you want to see in which direction you are currently going or head in a certain direction. So this will make a bit more sense as we go on. But essentially, the things you're going to be doing is turning yourself and the compass and pointing it in a direction. There is aligning the magnetic north with the actual north on the compass, so aligning the needle. And then there is turning the bezel. So those are the 3 ways we adjust the compass and ourselves. So we'll start off with which direction am I going in. So the first thing we do is we point the direction of travel in the way we want to go. So we have turned ourselves and the compass. So if we're going along a path, point it along the path in the direction we're going. And then next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the bezel until the north aligns with the red, or the one with a little dot or mark on it on the needle. So make sure to keep, whenever you are adjusting things with the needle, make sure you're away from any particular metal or magnetic objects, because that will throw it off. So if I was to put my watch underneath, I could change where the needle points like that. But yeah, we want to keep it flat, and we're just going to turn bezel until we've aligned the needle. And you can see the way we are going that way, we're going to read at the top here. Right at the top there's a little blue line in the direction of travel, and it says that way is south. So the direction we're traveling in is south. So we point in the direction we want to go, we adjust and then we read off from our bezel there. So in this case it is roughly 220 degrees, which is southwest. So working in practice, if I wanted to head towards that oak there, I'd point my arrow, direction of travel arrow, towards the oak. Then I would turn until the arrow aligns like that. Then I'd be able to read off the top there. You can see it's around 150 degrees southeast. So that gives me the direction I'm going in. This allows me to check that the direction I'm heading is one I want to go in, and it gives us an idea of where we are when we start working in maps future. So now we're going to take a look at it the opposite way. We're going to look at how to walk a certain bearing. Now if we are given a direction that we want to go in, say we know that the coastline we're heading towards us is east, then what we do is we look at it in reverse. So we are going to start off with reading it. So last time we pointed, we aligned, and then we turned the bezel. Now we're going to turn the bezel. So said it was east. Okay, so make sure the blue line lines up with east. So the east is in the direction of travel. And then we're going to orient ourselves. So we're going to turn ourselves and the compass, and then we look at the direction of travel. So the direction of travel tells us where we're going, and we are headed due east, so that direction. And again, if I knew that I wanted to head exactly due northwest, so I'd turn it. So I could even be given a bearing like go 300 degrees northwest. So I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to turn myself and the compass. So if I'm working with kids, I do actually encourage them to hold it out in front of them, two hands directly ahead, and then just rotate their body until they are facing the right direction. And then they can look straight ahead and go, okay, that's the direction I'm going. And what you're looking for, once you've got your bearing, is you want to look at something in the distance. Say I've been told to head directly north, so 0 degrees north. Rather than walking around holding the compass in front of me, tripping over roots, falling into holes and running into brambles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm heading in the right direction, go line it up, and I'm going to find something in the distance. So I might see that just to the right of that canvas tent over there, there's a little storage shed, and that is almost exactly the direction we're heading. So I look down, double check my bearings, make sure everything's lined up, and I'm going to then put the compass down, and I can start walking directly towards that shed, and that's called aiming off. That's where you take a bearing, find something in the distance, and walk towards it. And then once we get there, we can then take another bearing, turn ourselves, orient ourselves, find something in the distance, and then head towards that. And that allows us to cover a lot more ground quicker and appreciate the journey more than if we're just staring at our compass all the time. So there we go, that is the basics of setting up and using a compass. And now we're going to take a look at how we can create a treasure hunt or a trail or an orienteering exercise for the children to work with. And the first thing we're going to need to do is is get the course set up. And that's going to require a lot of lead work on your part. So if this is something that you can recycle for new groups all the time, fantastic. Otherwise, you're going to have to do a bit of walking. So first thing we're going to do is find a starting point. So it needs to be a precise starting point. So somewhere where that doesn't move around, somewhere that's easy to access. So I've decided to pick this stone as my starting point. Ideally you want, as I said, somewhere that is easily recognizable and accurate. And you also ideally want it to be in the center, so there's more options for places to go. So we would start our treasure hunt with number 1, start at the big stone, and then we're going to choose our direction to head in from there. So the thing to do is to look up and go, okay, what's around us? Now what you choose and how you choose to phrase it is going to depend on your age group. If I'm working with a very much older group, I might say head 230 degrees for 80 paces. So this is a very precise guidance, so they will have to pace it out, and if they get it wrong, then every step after that is going to be wrong. If I'm working with a different group, that we might be working a lot more with tree identification. So I might say, let's head towards the oak that is 90 degrees east. Head directly due east. Now if there's a couple of oak trees around us, this is ideal, because they can't just head to a oak tree. If you say something like head north to the compost toilet, there is only one compost toilet, so they don't even need to take a bearing. But if there's 2 or more of something, then they're going to need to use those compass skills to work it. So we're going to say back to the stone. I'm just going to pick a nice ash tree directly ahead. I'm going to point my compass direction of travel, keeping it nice and flat. I'm going to turn the bezel, and I'm just going to read that off, and it's going to be, so head 280 degrees. So I'm going to give the exact reference. This is why these base plate compasses are useful. 280 degrees, and that is west, north, west, towards an ash tree. So if they find themselves heading towards a lake instead, then they can course correct and they can come back and then start again. And if they're heading completely the wrong direction, because there's an ash tree there, that's an ash tree that I can see, then it comes at something different. So we have our first instruction there. So we're going to head 280 degrees west northwest, and if we turn the camera around, see, just up at the top there, that's the ash tree that we're looking to head towards. So here we are at the ash tree. Now it is handy to have some sort of marker in place at the tree, because as I said, if you start off heading to it in the wrong direction and then base everything else after that off that first location, you're going to be in completely the wrong place. So it helps to have an orienteering marker. Now you can either just have a simple 1 to however many, 1 to 6, and then you just have a little marker at the bottom there. So you can if you want biodegradable ones, that's quite a good idea. So just get a little tree cookie, a little wooden disc, write the letter, or write a letter or a number on it, and then you can hide it just at the base of your marker point. So you would go over to there, and then they'd look for marker 1. If they can't find marker 1, they would come back to their previous point, test it again, and maybe ask for help if they need it. So you can either have just 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, so on, or you can make little orienteering markers like these and have a number and a letter, and then that can correspond to a location at the end. So one of the treasure hunts that I did, they had to go through and find all of the letters, and then they put the letters down on a sheet that had the little boxes. So number 1 letter goes in there, number 2 letter goes in that box, and they eventually spelled out that the treasure was in the toolbox. And then they could then go to the toolbox and they'd get the treasure, which can be whatever. It can be marshmallows for using on the campfire, it can be chocolate money, whatever. So that's a really handy way to do it, but you want some sort of marker so that they know they're in the right track. And we want an end stop as well. We want to say, okay, where have you gone too far? If you're worried about children heading in completely the wrong direction and wasting a lot of time, you might want to include paces so that they know. If you've told them it's 20 paces away and they are going for 200, that's gone too far. But once you've got your first marker in place, then you're going to choose the next feature. So it can be something like follow the path heading northeast. It can be something like head towards the closest oak, so we can remove the compass element from it. Or you can simply say head so and so until you find something else. So for my next, because I've got a canvas tent on that side and a canvas tent on that side, I'm just going to choose one, point in the direction. I'm going to turn bezel until it lines up, and I'm going to call that 170 degrees. So point number 2 is going to be 100 head, 170 degrees, and I'm going to give just the basics. So it's east, southeast, so I'm just going to do ESE, 170 degrees towards a canvas tent, and then you can head towards that. Like I say, how far you go, how difficult you make it, you want something that's relatively unmistakable as a waypoint, but you also don't want it to be something that is completely unique. And that is basically it. So with a little bit of legwork, you should have about between, I'd say, 6 to 10 step orienteering course treasure hunt. I'd say they can either have each waypoint spell out a letter that will then lead them to a location of a riddle, a prize, or whatever, depending on the time you have, or it could just lead directly to the treasure. Now, learn from my mistakes here. Don't make the treasure too close to the starting point, because a group heading in completely the wrong direction can discover it and cut short what should have been an hour-long activity and turn it into 2-3 minutes. So be careful where you hide it and how you hide it, because children are perceptive and they may notice more than you think. But there we go. I hope that's a bit of inspiration to have a play around with compasses. This is one that if you're really scrambling for curriculum links, it's a good one to throw in. Say, throw the administrators a bone and keep them off your backs for a little while. Have some fun doing it. Play around with some compasses. And this is a really valuable life skill as well. It gives you access to the outdoors. It's a great skill to learn, and I know we'll talk in a future episode about map reading skills, because that's another vital thing to learn, and it's really good way to explore more of a site than you would normally. Anyway, thank you so much again to Wellness Woodlands, as you've seen a little bit more of this beautiful site and the lovely canvas tents that you can hire. So if you're looking for a stay in Shropshire, they do have canvas tents that are nice and toasty, so do check those out. And if you are looking for more help with skills and so on, do check out my other videos. And I'll say thank you so much for watching. Remember to make the most of every day, and I will see you next time.